Hello and welcome back. Basically, I tried to record the second part of this tutorial earlier, and towards the beginning the audio had some problems. So I'm attempting to do just the part that had problems again, and then hopefully it can be continued regarding the rest of it that was done. So the part where the audio went out was right when we were about to test if this text works, basically. So let's see where we're holding with that. So the first thing that someone does when they make an RTC call is they make an offer to try to call the other person. And then that offer generates some text, as you can see here. And that text, then the person who made the offer sets this text as their own local description. Because anything that one creates, they set as their local description. And any information someone has about the other person, they set as their remote description, which we'll say in a second. So, as the first person makes the offer, they set this behind the scenes to their local description. Then they send this text to the second person who accepts the offer, which we have in this button here. And let's see if that works, which it doesn't. Okay, so we'll fix this in a second. But essentially, what this should do when it accepts the offer, well, the second person accepts the offer of the first person, the second person sets this offer as their own remote description, because remote is the description that someone has about the other person. So you can see the error here doesn't work because why? As you can see, this expects an object, but we're passing it the string from the text area box. The provided value is not of type RTC session description index, meaning we're passing this string only, but we have to parse it as a JSON object in order to actually accept the offer. And the code for accepting the offer originally is in here. So let's get back to that. So essentially, just to show what it's going at, so accept offer and create answer is where the error is happening. So this offer here should be an object. So for here we're getting the value of the text area box, but we're giving it the text. We need to give it the object. So to do that we need to stringify this text. No, sorry, parse the text. And that technically you could check if it's a valid object to parse it, but we're just gonna assume it is for now. And let's just test one step at a time to make sure each step works, because working is good. So again, I'm just saying it over and over again so people can get it, because I had a hard time understanding it at first. So the first person makes an offer. That offer generates text, and the first person sets this offer to their own local description. Then they send this text to the second person, who takes the offer and accepts the offer. And when they accept it, so it works so far, which is good. And when the second person accepts the offer, then the second person sets this offer as their own remote description, and then the second person creates this answer, which could be in two separate steps, but in here we're doing it automatically one step, meaning after the second person takes the offer from the first person and sets the offer from the first person as their own remote description, then the second person creates an answer on their own side, which is this text here. And behind the scenes, the second person takes this answer object and sets this answer as their own local description. Just like this person set the offer as a local description, the second person set the answer as their own local description. Then the second person takes the answer that they made and then sends it back to the first person, who accepts the answer, and the first person should set the answer to their own remote description. So anything that one gets about the other person is the remote description. Anything they get about themselves is the local description. So the first person accepts the answer. Let's see if this works. And it does nothing, which is good because it's not supposed to do anything, because we didn't tell it to do anything, because back in the first tutorial we left off without actually doing anything. And where is that? Here, get answer, as you can see, is this button which we just tried to press, accept answer. And we got the text, but we didn't actually do anything with it at the moment. So to do that, we had a callback for accepting the answer that we made a long time ago. Accept answer, right? It should be right here. So let's see if earlier we made this as text, but it's actually not text. We'll see in a second why it doesn't work. It's not going to work. I'm going to show you why it's not going to work, but we'll see why it doesn't work. Let's just do things one at a time. So for example, when we get the answer, this is our value of the answer. Then we do wrap, which is our wrapper object, dot accept. I didn't notice. I forgot what it's called. Accept answer. It makes sense. Accept answer. And then we say, let's try doing the text and see what happens, but it's not going to work. And I'll show you why it doesn't work, because it also requires an object, but just good to see why things don't work in general. So let's do everything again. First person makes offer, sends offer to second person, accepts offer, second person makes answer, takes the answer, sends it to the first person. Let's see if they can accept the answer. And no, this is exactly what's expected, because when they accept the answer, they're not accepting text. They need to parse the answer, just like we have to parse the offer when we pass it into the second person. When we get the answer, we also have to parse the answer as an object. So you can see the provided value is not of type whatever, meaning this callback here, set remote description, expects an object. So let's do that real quick. So we earlier in the first tutorial I thought it was text, but it's actually an object. So let's change this to object, make it clearer. But then to actually make it an object, we have to go and take this text, which is not really text, it's really accepted answer, and then we have to paste the we have to paste that. Basically, we have to parse the text. So dot parse. Now that should work, but it's not actually going to work yet until we do the ice canvas. We'll get there in a second. So make offer. So the first person makes the offer, sets this offer as their own local description. Then they send it to the second person. Second person takes the offer and accepts the offer. And as the second person accepts the offer, they set the offer from the first person as their own remote description, because the remote is about information about someone else. And then the second person generates this answer object and sets the answer they made as their own local description here, and then sends it back to the first person, who accepts the answer. And when the first person accepts the answer, then the first person sets the answer as their own remote description. So it doesn't actually do anything yet because we didn't do the callbacks, but we'll do that in a second or a few seconds. So basically, this tutorial is meant to be to combine the video that was made earlier, which had the bad audio, to different parts of it. So essentially, if you want to continue coding with that video, then you can just end this video now and continue in the next part. But for a second, I just had an idea today about the general idea of WebRTC regarding Kabbalah, which is interesting because RTC means real-time connection, which is the connection that the soul has with the creator every second. And I thought that was related by divine providence, by the fact that by mistake the audio went out at a certain time, and because the audio went out, then they have to make this other video which combines the two parts. Because there's an analogy in the Tanya which says that if someone makes a mistake, then that, so to speak, severs one level of connection that they might have with the creator. For example, it says that the soul is like a rope that's made of different strands, and then when one does a mistake, then they cuts off one of the strands. But then when someone makes up for it, then they tie one of this they tie the strand back, and then the place where it's tied is even stronger than the rest of the rope. So too, making this, whatever, just by divine providence, I thought the idea of making the video to combine it, and then it was like a stronger than the other videos. But anyway, that's the point, is that there's a general lesson that even if someone made mistakes in the past, they can always fix it. It's never too late. And when someone does fix it, the fixing is even stronger than it would have been normally. And that's the idea of WebRTC, which is a real-time connection between two parties. That's the idea of connecting to the essence of the soul, which is from the soul in this world to the soul that's united in the essence of the creator, essentially. And that's the idea of the whole WebRTC. First, you have to make the offer. So, like in this world, when someone returns to the creators, they're like making an offer. It's called like an awakening from below. Like it's someone's own experience to like go out of themselves and become connected to Hashem. That's like their own efforts from below. And then after that, then the offer is accepted by the creator, so to speak. And the creator like records this information and then sends back an answer, meaning which that's like an awakening from above, which gives someone an additional strength. But then someone has to accept the awakening from above in actually doing the Torah and mitzvahs. And then when someone accepts the awakening from above, then the connection between the two parties can start, which is the idea of the connection of the soul in this world to the connection of the soul, how it's united with the creator. And the connection is done, as it's going to say in the other part of the tutorial, through the ice candidates, which ice stands for something in WebRTC, but technically the idea of ice, kabbalistically, is water in the beginning and water in the end, and solid in the middle. So it's explained in the beginning of creation, there was only water, and then he separated the water beneath the sky to the water above the sky. which is an analogy for many different things besides for a simple meaning. But the point is, like, the upper waters is how Hashem's divine, the Creator's divine intelligence existed before the world, or beyond, in a way that's beyond the world. And then the lower waters is the intelligence of the Creator as it creates the world, which is a limited. The idea of the ice in the middle is the connection between the two. That's the idea of the Torah, is the connection between everything. And the ice is what creates the connection. Anyway, that's just a little thought.